everyone, it's Wendy K Laidlaw here, and as always, I hope that this finds you well today. Now, it's always a joy to do these podcasts when another lady has come on and agreed to share her success story. Now, this is the 12-month EndoBoss Academy, which is a program that me and my team will assist a small group of women, maximum of 4 women a year, through systematically going through the 5 Ps, the produce, their products, property, and people and past. And it's a very structured, systematic program that goes through particular stages and phases to allow for the support and the changes to be made. It can be quite challenging, obviously, at times. So women do need the emotional support that we offer. And there is nothing and nobody else doing what we do because it's so immersive and like coming into like getting a big hug and coming into an environment that you're really seen, heard, and valued. So I'm so super proud of Harriet. She is a beautiful woman, and I had the joy of meeting her at our Embracing Emotions retreat last year in Portugal. We're going to be having another one next year, so do make sure to sign up for an early bird notification if you're interested. But so I'm just going to share a bit more. I've written some things down so I don't forget. But yeah, so last year it had been a nerve-wracking and frantic few weeks leading up to our first ever in-person retreat in Portugal, which was our first in-person event. But I was so super excited. I have worked with over 100 women around the world personally now over the last 8 years, helping them become endobosses. But of course, it was over Zoom and never in person. So hence why the idea of trying a face-to-face in-person environment to kind of jumpstart the journey. And also, just to kind of allow people to recognize there's so much online that, we actually do seek a lot of human and personal connection. So I'd found a good venue and a great location, and I had an array of ideas I wished to share with the women to inspire them on their journey. When I first walked into the pool area that evening of the first night, I met the beautiful Harriet, and I was instantly struck by her warmth and sincerity. She had a beautiful, loving energy. And, here was a woman with a big, kind heart, coupled with a high degree of sensitivity, yet her strength of character also shined through. And this is a common thing for women with endometriosis, but they don't tend to recognize it. We would go on to spend the next 6 days and 5 nights together in a small and special group of women. The essence of the retreat was to start to address, increase awareness, and remind women of the importance of embracing their emotions, which, as I've talked in an earlier podcast, can be, easier said than done. Of course, as I say, I'm aware of the conundrum of embracing emotions that perhaps have scared you and frightened you and caused you anxiety and maybe ran away from for decades. Yet I also knew that that was the secret, the super secret to putting endometriosis in remission, because these emotions have meanings and are messengers. So endometriosis, as you probably know, is a complex condition. It requires a structured and systematic approach to healing by addressing the 5 Ps, or the 5 poisons, which is produce, products, property, people, and past, that cause the pain, irritation, and inflammation. Now, there could be 4 of the 5, there could be 3 of the 5, there could be a whole cross section of the 5, but that's why obviously, whilst, our 12-month program tends to address everything, so there's nothing like with a fine tooth comb, or even some people laugh about a flea comb, or taking everything and anything out that could potentially be causing an irritation. Now, the first 3 Ps, or 3 poisons, which are produce, which is food, products, and property, I would say are relatively easy to address. Now, I say easy, I know how challenging it is in this day and age, because it's actually quite, you have to put a lot of forward thought to eat healthily and have greens and protein and things like that. Excuse me. But it's actually the final 2, which is people and past, that really need the support and expertise, because we're navigating different parts of us on this journey as well. Parts that have put in protective measures naturally and understandably from a young age, so we need to hear them as we're on this journey. So it was really lovely to get to know Harriet more and more over our time together, and although her body was literally crying out for help and guidance, I knew that she was someone that we could work with and guide along the pathway. And hence why she got offered a place. Because you see, it's not an easy journey. It is tough. It is challenging. Yet what I look for in a future EndoBoss is the heart, the soul, and a determination to never ever give up. The future EndoBoss must be willing to make the changes. She must be willing to put the time in to absorb the information. She must make the time to watch all the educational content that I've prepared and created and apply what is being learned as well. And to borrow our faith in her body and her until she can have the abject belief in herself, which always comes in the end. So I offered her a coveted place in the EndoBoss 12 Months Academy, which is an online program to work with my wonderful supportive team. Physical symptoms that were showing at the beginning of her journey that she doesn't have. And you will note this is very common if you go back and listen to her other success stories. There's normally a very long list of signs and symptoms that are showing up in the body, which is very, very common. And then by the end of the academy, most, if not all, the signs and symptoms have reduced or been eliminated, and her body is on the right track. I always say that the body healing comes secondary behind the emotional healing. But once that element of emotions is embraced and understood and parts have been heard, then each woman goes from strength to strength and ends up flying super high. This is because we work really hard to ensure each and every woman learns to listen to herself, to her intuition and her instincts above all else and every other person out there. Due to the highly sensitive nature of women with endometriosis, their bodies may have absorbed and internalized external narratives of the family they grew up in, or other people, friends, partners that they've attracted, or even their work colleagues. So any negative and unkind, derogatory words or statements may have actually been turned into critical beliefs about herself. Just like we get regular updates on our mobile phones and laptops, which drive me nuts most of the time, sometimes it's imperative for ourselves to upgrade our beliefs about us and how they may be hampering or, inhibiting our healing journey and actually making us ill. So Harriet has learned herself, her gifts, and transformed not only her body, but her beliefs about herself. She has learned her thoughts and feelings matter, and her emotions are very important messengers. She has learned that her body is always trying to speak to her through her gut, through her throat, through her head and stomach, and that her instincts and intuition matter more than any other person's perception of her. She has learned to understand what an external boundary looks and feels like and how to enforce them with those toxic or pushy or demanding people who do not hear her or see her as she should be seen or heard. Harriet has learned to create safe and secure internal boundaries for herself to ensure she takes essential care of herself every day with her 3 daily basics. She has learned how she's become her greatest cheerleader and champion, and that it's no one else's responsibility but hers to look after herself. And Harriet has learned to distinguish between her different needs and subconscious parts and how to, what we call, parent herself in a new, kind and compassionate, loving way. As a result, her body has seen and benefited, seen the signs of improvement that she never imagined was possible. Harriet had hoped just to have a regular period and assumed pain would still be felt every single month until she stopped having a period. But all that pain has gone. Now her periods turn up as a non-event and she has zero pain, something she never imagined would ever be possible. She thought it was a dream to have painless periods. Now that dream is a reality every month. In addition, her hair is thicker, her nails are stronger, her skin is softer, and most importantly, she has more energy than she's ever had before in her life. She knows now how to preserve and conserve her energy from those energy vampires and toxic, demeaning or demanding people. She's in the process of retraining and reassessing her future and getting clear on her purpose and her calling. And I guess the question is, will you be our next EndoBoss success story? But before I let you hear the interview with Harriet, who had the interview with my head coach, Maxine, I just wanted to share again some things that Harriet had mentioned about her body before, which was when she was 15. She remembered throwing up in the girls' toilet and and being in so much pain that she was even scared to go back to her classroom. That was aged 15. And now, 8, 9 years later, she has reached a point of where her body is, she understands her body, and knows what to do to prevent it. She was under a lot of pressure from the medical profession at the time to go on antidepressants and different medications, rather than them listening or trying to understand to get to the root cause of what was causing that pain. Again, emotionally, she felt very vulnerable and fragile. Now she feels very empowered. She's able to tune into herself and really hear her intuition and her instincts in a whole new way. But as I say, there was a whole colorful of symptoms and signs, all sorts of things that were going on for her at the beginning. And now she's at a point where she has the confidence and the understanding not to feel scared of whatever might show up emotionally, most importantly, and that recognizing that these emotions are messengers. So as I say, I hope you listen to this and feel inspired. I just want to kind of reiterate that when these beautiful women come on and share their story, it's very nerve-wracking for them. There's a part of them that feels very vulnerable and exposed. So I do hope that, if you've enjoyed this, and please do let us know and we can pass on those thanks. I have such admiration for every single one of the women that come through this program and then feel this beautiful calling to share their success to inspire others. So I hope you enjoy this. There is, if you want to apply for the EndoBoss Academy, you can go to healendometriosisnaturally.com/programs. And you can go onto the page and read and hear other testimonials and apply. We only take 4 women a year maximum. Yeah, so enjoy this, feel inspired wherever you are, and to your health.
We today, very excitingly, have Harriet, our official EndoBoss, which is very exciting, joining us today. And Harriet is going to share a little bit about her journey over the last 12 months, which has been such a joy to watch Harriet sitting in front of me, her wonderful growth. So this is a lovely time just to really see how far you have come. So, Harriet, firstly, lovely to have you on.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for coming and being so open to sharing and just speaking about your journey so far. So I wondered if we could start off and you could just share for those listening where your journey began. What has your journey looked like?
Sure. So I actually had chronic fatigue when I was in school, kind of doing my GCSEs and A levels, and had painful periods back then as well. Was in a lot of pain in school as well. So and like with my periods kind of throughout my teens, 20s, right up until the last year, really, I've always had kind of crazy painful periods, and they've like I can remember going and throwing up in the bathroom at school and being in the medical room, and eventually left school halfway through my A levels. And whilst I did kind of manage to recover my energy, the painful periods was something that has stayed with me through my kind of teens and early 20s, really, like since I've had them. So it wasn't until kind of the last few years where it got really, really bad, and I'd have to take like time off of work, and started to rethink my what I do for work, and I've got to the point where I went to the doctors and had the appointments, and they said to go and have surgery, and tried to put me on the pill and all of the standard route, which I said no to all of it, because I just had a feeling that can't be the only way. So I got diagnosed a different way through ultrasound, that I had endometriosis. You could see the cysts on both my ovaries, endometriomas. And then I was kind of working, and at the end of the day, literally Googled, how do I heal endometriosis naturally, and Wendy's book came up, and I read her book from start to finish. It made loads of notes. It's highlighted and got corners folded, and it's still a reference guide. And I just felt as if I needed to meet her, and went on one of her retreats in Portugal last year, which was amazing. And then went on to do her the EndoBoss Academy.
Yes, which is fantastic because that is where you are with us now and what you've been journeyed through. So it's amazing. I'm so sorry to hear about it doesn't matter how many times I've heard and seen your journey through, to hear what you went through when you were younger is, I'm so sorry to hear. And maybe you could tell our listeners a little bit more about, I heard for you that with your job that really impacted what you could do as well as you were moving through. So maybe you could share a little bit more about what that was like, trying to work and to do what you did with what you were going through.
Sure. So I started as a water sports instructor, then went on to work on yachts, and was externally living an amazing life, like sailing around the world with my partner at the time. And um it was amazing in many ways, but also it was a challenge because I was also having to hide how I was feeling a lot of the time, and to take painkillers just to kind of get through a lot of painkillers to get through the day. And it was a real struggle, and it got to the point where I couldn't carry on as I was. I knew that something needed to change. Didn't have the same energy, couldn't do the same things as everyone around me. And I was just in so much pain. My body was screaming out to me that I couldn't keep going like that.
Yeah. And how does it feel kind of relaying that now when you think back to that time?
It got emotional to think how much I went through, and how much I sort of how much I withstood just to keep going. And I think it's easy to think it's something that every woman has the normal painful period, and it's not normal to have that level of pain, but you kind of just soldier on and think, oh, it's fine. I can't make a fuss. I just need to get on with the day. And so, yeah, to think how much I like my pain threshold to kind of go through that and do like the physical job I was doing, like high stress. It's yeah, it's it's definitely a big journey to
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah, and I think the emotion is completely natural when you think of all that you had to endure. And I could hear from even what you shared, and I know this journey that you've been on, and the incredible growth that you've had, which we will get to, but is you always had this really strong part that guided you and got you to the point of actually something does not feel right here, and what are my next options. Perhaps you could share a little bit about that and the struggles, maybe the challenges. And I know many women listening have gone through where they've maybe not been believed, or it's maybe, they've been tried to be pushed down a certain pathway, or something along those lines as well. So I know many women will be able to relate with the challenges that you faced during that time as well. Think back to that time. What sort of challenges did you face when you were trying to seek support externally? How was that for you?
Sure. So going to the doctors has never been like a nice experience when it comes to these conversations, especially when you're like a young like girl, like you're still must have been about 15 the first time I went, and to kind of explain what you're going through and try, like I remember going in and saying, but why do I have this? I'd always ask why and want to understand, and they never gave me an answer that would like satisfy that. And I just always felt like it was just a kind of band-aid approach. And so I remember I lost a few family members very close to me and went through a lot of grief. And after that, I think because of all the stress, like my symptoms did worsen, and I was offered like cyclical antidepressants and things because I was just so upset. But I knew I wasn't depressed, and I knew I had so much pain every time every month there was so much anxiety around when that would come and how that would make me feel. That I knew that wasn't what I wanted. And then just again going to have an appointment to talk about having surgery, and kind of heard what they had to say and asked my questions, and it never I just never felt as if they really knew why I had it or what was going on. So I never trusted them. So I'm very grateful to have been diagnosed and without having the surgery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can hear even with what you share, you always had this wisdom that kind of took you through. I mean, even when you share about losing some close family members, you had the awareness that actually the emotions that you were feeling were completely natural during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's even like I think grief is like a thing that massively does affect your whole body, and it is normal to feel sad around those times. But even like after that, I knew that something wasn't right in my body. It took a long time to know to do something about it.
Yes, and look at your lovely wisdom that, like you shared, led you to research online that there had to be this other way. And then that's when you discovered Wendy's book. So, what kind of did you get when you read Wendy's book? What did you get from that gave you this? I can see your smile even there. What, when you think back to that, what was it? Is it still your reference point, which is fantastic to hear? What did you get from that book?
Just that encouragement and belief that there is another way. This is it. This is like a manuscript for the other way. It's possible. I've done it. And to know that feeling that I had, that had to be a different way of going about things, to like see what Wendy went through, to then still have come out the other side, was just, I needed to look up to someone as a role model that had been through it and done it, and she was it. So yeah, I'm just so grateful for not only the having her to look up to, but like the practical tools that she's given along the way as well, that have all, it's not just a one thing, it's a whole holistic approach basically. And it makes sense when you think of it like that. That's how our bodies are.
Yeah, exactly. So wise, because that is it. It's, as Wendy teaches, it's those 5 Ps, and exactly kind of giving that injection of hope. I think that's, the reason that Wendy wrote it was just to say, if she could just help one woman to know that they were not alone, and the way that they were feeling, they were not going, wasn't all in their mind like it's being projected sometimes, but that they were not alone, and that there was a way out of that. And it's brilliant that it sounds like were really injected with this belief and hope from Wendy's words.
Completely, yeah. She believes in everybody. She borrow her belief in you.
Exactly. Even it's always, as Wendy says, it's even if you need to ride on her belief in you and belief in that until you feel it yourself. And this is where I know, after reading the book, what happened next. So where were you led to? What happened next on your journey?
So I read the book, and I just knew that I wanted to get involved with Wendy, and I kind of reached out, and it was important for me, as I said, to sort of meet her in person, and just I think I needed to see her to be like, oh, she's actually real and healthy, and she went through all that, and here she is. So to spend time with her in Portugal was, yeah, really, really special and profound, and helped me build that kind of trust that was someone that I could follow. So I, yeah, then went on to do the EndoBoss Academy, and I can't believe it's almost been a year.
I know. I can't believe it too. It's amazing how time flies when not only as you know, are putting in so much incredible dedication and work, but having some fun along the way, which we will get to and share. But the retreat, I love hearing this part that was pulled into the retreat and all that that offered. And what would you say you got from that retreat experience? What did you learn about yourself during that time? You know, it was a wonderful opportunity to work with Wendy in a close proximity in a small group, and Seb as well. So what did you get from working with Wendy in the retreat?
So much. Just I think it's such a beautiful setting to start with. So to that instantly relaxes you. It was amazing food and like the every little detail was taken care of, and which meant that you could then focus on everything we were doing with Wendy. And it was just a big deep dive into kind of emotional blocks and how it's all connected, how that affects us, how that um can be reasons why we do have the pain, and to understand that, and to um also have lovely treatments whilst we're there, to do some yoga, and with Seb, who understands exactly what women with endometriosis need and can do, and yeah, it was just all in such a beautiful place. So it's very just healing, really. It's like inside and out. That we had massages and Reiki, and yeah, it was stunning.
Well, I'm so glad. Thank you so much. And then after that, this is your step into the EndoBoss Academy, which has been a wonderful 12 months almost of this journey. And when you think back to the very start of the journey, share what comes up for you when you think back to just even the start of this. I know we've spoken about the beginning of your story, but when you think back to the start of the academy, what comes up for you when you reflect on that Harriet back then?
Um, I was completely lost, to be honest. I'd gone through almost linked with the pain that I was in. I've changed my work and thought I was having to. My kind of aim was to be able to know exactly which days my period would come so I could plan my life around it. And I thought that would be a good outcome if I could just know, okay, I've got these days, I can't do anything on those days. That was like my aim. So to think that that was what I thought was possible, and then compared to how I actually feel now, um, it's big. It's really big.
It is. It's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, I just had like so many changes in kind of every aspect of my life, and um was very stressed and in a lot of pain, and didn't really know exactly where to had the book, but just needed that kind of deeper guidance and someone to um cheerlead me on, as you have, Maxine, throughout the last year, and to sort of hold my hand and show me the way. Um so yeah, forever grateful.
Well, it's absolutely been incredible to see your growth and exactly when you come, it sounds like, you know, coming into this process, it was just this, right, you know, still, even if I've got these painful periods, I know when they're coming, so I can filter out that time. And when you think of hearing those words now, how does that make you feel?
It, it just amazes me that I thought that that was sort of the top of the game, like, oh, okay, if I could just get a regular cycle, then at least I'll know which days they are, and then I can plan my life around it, and I'll just have a job for half of the month and the other half I won't, or that kind of thing. It just makes me um yeah, so grateful to know now what's possible, and that I um yeah, I don't have the pain, so I don't need to think like that.
I know, pain-free. Did you ever think you would be feeling pain-free?
No, honestly, I thought, I hoped, like I definitely had the hope, or I wouldn't have joined. I believed somewhere in me it could have been possible, but also I didn't really know it if I was just, I don't know, not imagining something that wasn't truly possible. So yeah, to not have to take painkillers every month is now my reality, and can still function. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I would love you moving, continuing on with that because of exactly the fact that you don't have to take painkillers every month and this more energy that you have and so much that you are doing right now. What would you kind of say when you reflect back on the last 12 months? Um, has Wendy taught you? What has been the kind of big things that you've learned from Wendy's content, Wendy's Q&As? What comes up for you?
Oh my goodness, how long have you got? There's so many things, but I think when you're in that position, like right at the beginning, I just wanted to know everything all at once, like help me be fixed right now. But it's Wendy's so thoughtful in the way that she's structures things, and just to take everything slowly, and like not just baby steps, but like ant size steps, and just that kind of approach to everything, and sort of setting in our foundations first, and just overall believing and knowing it's possible, and just trusting the process, because it works. It's worked for women before me, it's worked for you and Wendy, and me. So yeah, trusting that it does, because it really does.
I love seeing your big smile with that. Tell me more. What comes up for you when you say that out loud?
I always say it's a surprise still, just that if I'm thinking back to me a year ago, it yeah, it is amazing how much it has worked. Um, so yeah, it does still come as a surprise to me. Um, and to say out loud that it's it's I don't know, it's so much.
I'm just so proud of you and as you should be so proud. Um, of yourself because it really is an incredible journey that you've been on. And I know I've said this to you in person, but seeing and thinking back to our first call together and seeing you now at this point, it's just amazing and such a credit to your incredible effort and commitment and strength that has continued you through when there's naturally been wobbles, or when there's naturally been things that may have got in the way, you've continued on through. And so when you think of it's amazing to hear that there's just so much that you've got that it's hard to kind of pinpoint. If you had to kind of pinpoint a few things that you felt have benefited you, what would you say you've got from? Is it, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What comes up for you when you think, even in how it's impacted you externally as well as internally as well?
I'm intrigued to know what comes up for you now. But there's again so many things. I think the kind of foundational elements of like nutrition and having power shakes every day is has done like wonders for my energy. And then I think that then gives you the strength to go on and make like bigger changes, and um to think about the products that you're using, and all aspects of it's kind of 5 Ps really, actually, when you when I think about it. And yeah, with that, how you're using your energy, and how you um I think like I was just leaking my energy before, and now I've learned a lot about how to protect my own energy and my own peace. And so there's so many different tools and techniques and understanding that's gone along with that as well.
Yeah, and where do you think, or how's that information been delivered to you? What have you got from the way that the content and the membership site and things like that?
So it's lovely because there's lots of different ways of showing it. So there's like masterclass videos, and then there's like links and like references to books. So there's like different ways um to absorb the information. And then you also have the like our group Q&As and calls and one-to-ones to help sort of cement any additional questions. So there's always different ways to take in the information, and that's super helpful because it's just structured in a way that it's manageable and you can take it in and it makes sense in the order that it's presented, which is helpful because it can be overwhelming when you start at the beginning, where it's structured in a way that it doesn't do that. It's just, okay, we're going to drip feed you a little bit at a time, and
Yeah.
there's this book if you want to read it. It's really, really, it's like so incredibly thoughtful.
Yeah, well, that's lovely to hear. I think that's it. We all know what it's like when you get so much information thrown at you at once. And so that's where Wendy's excellent kind of expertly structured way of just drip feeding that so that you can keep up and give you that time to really implement it. And it sounds like you've given yourself that time to, I've heard you mention those foundational elements. And, when you think back to implementing those foundational elements, how was that process for you?
um Awakening, I would say, like to think about I thought I used quite natural products and things like that. Thought I was quite aware of um the things I use, but it's just amazing when you start digging deeper into the kind of the ingredients list of like your skincare or your washing powder, or I don't know, we're just bombarded with so many chemicals. It's kind of no wonder we feel different. So just, yeah, very eye-opening in that sense. You realize how good the companies are at marketing, and you just think you're buying something natural and organic, and actually it's got all sorts of stuff in it. So it was very helpful to learn more about that side of things, and to have the support of the team helping go through what you're already using and give recommendations. It's been amazing.
Amazing. So it's fabulous because I can hear you really kind of looking at our first three P's, which is great. And when you think into, because at the start, I can hear, it was the build up of these first three P's. And then you look at your final two, that kind of people and past. What did you learn from the journey about from Wendy and her videos and her insight? What did you learn about those final two P's with the people in the past as you've traveled on this journey?
I just learned how powerful those two elements are. They are I think she says like the hardest to kind of implement, but the most profound in the impact once you do. So yeah, just reflecting on the things that you've been through, and how that then understandably affects your health if you carry things in your whole nervous system in your body. It's all connected, and the people around you as well, like with women with endometriosis, are sensitive, and I knew that I was, but wasn't really sure what to do with it. So yeah, just understanding that the people that are around you that do impact you, and you don't have to sort of give your energy to everyone around you. There's amazing people out there, but there's also people that can not be good for us. So it's yeah, again, eye-opening once you start realizing and looking around you.
And
Yeah.
how did it feel once you started to develop that awareness and that understanding? And what did you use and what did you learn to support yourself in that?
Um, I think it can be quite sad at the beginning because um I'm definitely someone that's always wanted to just kind of be friends with everyone and people please and um say yes, like how high do you want me to jump? I'll do it kind of thing. So to kind of take a step back and realize that actually kind of question was that um actually serving me, and to think about how my own needs being met first is has been um huge, and to have the kind of support of you and as we go throughout that process to kind of know how do I do that? How do I implement a boundary? What is that? And how to say no, and just talk through conversations and about how you might do that with someone is just been so um so so I don't even have the words for it, so beyond helpful, that to again take that with me forever, really.
And like so spot on and interesting, to hear you say about that sensitivity is as, and I'm sure many women listening will feel the same of perhaps, that sensitivity has not been celebrated or loved or encouraged. And even the phrase you used there is kind of learning to put yourself first, and that was okay. So tell me a little bit more and tell the woman a little bit more. What was that like on the journey, putting yourself first and learning these new ways to put yourself first, and just that sensitivity? How do you feel now about that sensitivity?
um the difference in how I feel now about sensitivity is huge. I think at the beginning I just was kind of asking, how do I stop being sensitive? How do I turn it off? I can't, I'm overwhelmed with how much I'm feeling. Whereas now I do genuinely believe it's a gift and I'm grateful for it. And um it doesn't, whilst I could do, I'm conscious of it, it's not in a negative way. It's that was the other question you said, sorry.
Yeah, well, I can firstly hear with the sensitivity. I love hearing that you now genuinely view it as a gift. Tell me a little bit more about that. How do you now, you said you're still aware of that, so tell me more about that sensitivity because it is so beautiful and it is amazing. So tell us more about that.
um I think now that I know that kind of the more I give to myself and look after myself, then the more I can then kind of show up and give to others around me. It's um just a shift in that it's um I can feel I'm more attuned to like my own needs and the needs of others, and I'm just aware of um things around me, and I feel deeply, and I think it's a privilege to feel deeply. So I'm just grateful for that, and I hope to kind of use it in future work to then help others. So to view it as something that is a tool and a gift rather than something that I'm overwhelmed by. Like again, I think it's just sort of managing your own energy within that and caring for yourself. If you've been out in London for a day or something, or in a busy place, wherever it is, to then come and have a ground and
Mhm.
meditate or do whatever it is to calm your nervous system down again has just been so helpful. So it's just working with yourself rather than
Yeah.
sort of reacting to, oh gosh, I feel awful, why, like, not really knowing why. It just feels like I have that understanding now and how to work with it, work with myself. It's quite a long answer.
It's lovely to hear you say that because I think I know many people listening, and I know I felt the same, and I know interesting kind of hearing you relay that is that at the start, it was, how do I switch off that sensitivity? How do I, move past this and stop feeling this much and stop having these emotions? And I can really hear from what you're sharing is that you learned the skills from, from the coaching calls, but from Wendy's program throughout, is just actually how that is a gift, and it's how to protect ourselves in a way that supports us to still have that sensitivity, but in a way that is, protected in such a beautiful way that it means that it isn't as such zapped as much or hurt as much, or elements like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just protecting, like, kind of energetically, spiritually, but also just the tools that you say. Like, I take my noise cancelling headphones with me everywhere I go, basically, and just things like that. So I'm not overstimulated by soaking in everyone around me's like emotions. And just always remember Wendy saying about when she walks down the street and just picking up on how everyone feels. And I felt the same countless times. So it's just nice to, yeah, just different tools with that.
Mhm. Yeah, and have someone that feels you and has been through the same sensitivity and has that sensitivity too.
Yeah, absolutely. And using it to then empower others is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Not, I think the key is like not at a sacrifice to yourself. And so yeah, just learning to, the more you give to yourself, the more you can then give to others.
Yeah, and I know that's been a part of the journey that's taken some um kind of development into, is actually looking after yourself and knowing that that's okay to look after yourself. And it's a credit to you that you do now have these daily basics that are in place, that self-care time that's in place as well. So it's been amazing to see you continue to implement these things and know it's okay to put yourself first.
Thank you.
So if we look back over the last 12 months, it's been great that you've implemented um, you know, the key elements throughout. When you look back and you think of Wendy and her support throughout the 12 months, what would be your takeaways from her and what she's provided?
Um, there's so many different elements. I think you can't have a better role model than someone that's literally been through it and is out the other side and thriving. So um to really believe and trust in her, and I've met her and seen her and I know that it's real, so it's possible. There's so many kind of practical takeaways, even just cutting out gluten and taking time for yourself, whether that's meditating or relaxing, whatever it is. I think is just so important. There's so many things going around my head, Maxine. Honestly, there's so many, so many different elements. It's, I think it's just knowing that there is a way, and that she's proved it and made it, and it's possible. So trust it and go with it.
And you're feeling the impact now, which is just amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as I kind of said to you, I've got more energy than I've ever had. I feel amazing. I don't take painkillers. I feel I don't have to take days off. It's yeah, it's completely changed my life, like without doubt.
Well, that's amazing. It's so lovely to see your whole energy just be so light and bright as you share that. And when you think of, obviously, Wendy is the kind of leader of our incredible team and has paved the way for us all, and including myself and the other members of our team, how would you describe to others the support that you have received from the whole team over your time with us?
It's all inclusive. It's every element is kind of covered. If you there's so many like resources on there, but it's not like, I don't know, if you can't find something or if you've got a question about it or you need that advice, you just ask, and the whole team is so kind and considerate and encouraging. That's probably the biggest thing, is that everyone in the team is a cheerleader and they believe and support, and yeah, just send love and encouragement whenever you have contact, which I think you need that, and that's been huge. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so grateful, and so it's just women supporting women is powerful.
Definitely, definitely. And I'm so pleased that you felt that woman supporting woman, because my goodness, when women come together, we are formidable.
Definitely.
Well, that is amazing. And just as we kind of come to the end of our time, if there was someone listening who was considering taking this leap for themselves, investing in themselves and considering the EndoBoss Academy, what might you say to them if they were considering to apply to work with the EndoBoss team and Wendy and go on this journey?
Just do it. You're worth it. You might have, like me, kind of got so far yourself and tried to make sense of a lot of things and maybe made a lot of big changes, and um but I still just needed that extra support and the more in-depth understanding and learning, and that's what this provides. And if you're still in pain and you don't want to be, no one does, then it's time to trust and do something about it with the experts. They're amazing and kind and supportive, and but just do it, basically.
That's amazing. Well, thank you. And just finally, what would you say now to yourself about how you feel from the journey that you have been on for the last 12 months? What would you like to say to all these parts that have been on this journey with you?
Just a big thank you.
Feel your emotion. Tell your emotion.
um it really is a journey, and I'm just um so glad that I have gone on it and continue to go on it. It doesn't stop now, and just to kind of to look back and know that I've kind of built that trust in myself that wasn't there, but I had a feeling that I needed to go about things a different way and not have surgery, and to know that I've done that and it's worked.
Mhm.
And that little voice inside me that was telling me, let's find another way, there must be another way. So to have done it and continue to like go on that journey, yeah, I'm just grateful to myself as well.
Well, that makes me emotional hearing you say that. You have that wiseness has been there from the start, and just lovely to hear that you now can trust that wise voice and you can trust those parts. I can feel the emotion for you, and you should feel so proud.
Thank you so much.
Oh, so, so proud of you. And it honestly has been an honor to see you grow and develop on our one-to-one calls. And it's been fabulous to just, yeah, see you just, the strength continue to build. And as you say, this is the start of even more of what is to come. And we just would make a request of you to keep us up to date on all your wins and all your successes. That there will no doubt be many and many and many and many, is to keep us up to date on all that you accomplish moving forward. Because as you know, we will always be cheerleading you on from the sidelines, and we would love you to share as you're moving through this journey of life.
Thank you. I absolutely will. Thank you for just believing in me and more.
Of course, of course. Well, that is the end of our podcast. So if you are listening and you would like to, after hearing Harriet's incredible story, become an endoboss just like her and be as incredible and energetic and just soaring and flying at the moment, which is just so lovely to hear, then do check out healendometriosisnaturally.com/programs and apply to work with us. We do have some applications opening up in the next couple of months, so please do come and join us. And yes, we wish you all the best, but thank you so much for coming on, Harriet. It has been delightful to have you share your story and join us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's hard to encompass it all, but hopefully that did a little taste.